Hey, welcome back to the Powered by Football podcast. On today's episode, we have an old interview that I did a couple months ago with a mate of mine, Joshua Ryan. So keep in mind that the audio quality is not as good as the current episodes because I have improved my sort of setup in the past 2 months or so. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this interview. Welcome to the Powered by Football podcast, your favorite powerchair football podcast hosted by Jackson Taylor. Today, I am joined by a good mate of mine who is a lot younger than me, but he is still a very fun guest to have. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Joshua Ryan. I'm currently 12 and I play for Sydney FC.
So, yeah, I brought Josh on as he is a very fun young individual and he has a very fun story in his life and he has some fun things to talk about. So, without further ado, Josh, what is your history with powerchair football?
So I started in the Premier or the first grade at the time as a Central Coast Mariners player. Then going into national clubs as a Hills United player that year. Then I played the next season with Hills United and spent my last 3 years. Well, this is my third year playing with Sydney FC.
Yeah, so did you want to kind of go over how you started a bit more, if that's all right?
So I started originally playing with Jackson at the time as like at the age of 3 and learning how to play in actually our day chairs at Kevin Betts Stadium. Then we slowly got better and developed a new competition that now called the reserve grade competition. I played a couple of years in that with Jackson at in the team, and yeah.
We killed it when we were like it was you, me, and a few others, and
You, me, Daniel, Jake, and Ryan.
that was a really good team. That was a really strong team. We killed it.
I still have I think I still have the trophy up here
Oh,
somewhere.
can I have the trophy? I want the trophy. You briefly mentioned that you started at age 3. You were the youngest ever player to start playing at that young. How does it feel knowing you have so much experience, even being so young?
um, Obviously, sometimes I feel like I'm a bit out of my league playing with some of the older players and stuff. But obviously, it's a good for me having being such a young age to learn all these new skills and tricks. Hopefully, getting to the Asian Championships next year.
Oh, you've got so much room to grow, mate, because you're so young. It's going to be really exciting to see not only yourself, but our whole generation of players, just to see them all grow.
I hope you'll be there too, Jackson.
I hope so too. One really exciting experience you have had, Josh, was that you trained with the Poweroos, the national team of powerchair football here in Australia. What was the most valuable thing you learnt training with those players and staff?
I think the most valuable thing I learned was obviously learning how to play as a team and learning all the skills and plays that the Australian guys do. Then being able to bring it into my competition and my team.
Well, yeah, I think learning from some of those people would be so valuable. I think it was really, really fortunate for you to get that experience. And on the topic of training, and you've traveled the distance to help those learn the sport. In these camps, alongside the help of Jason, your dad slash coach slash president of the NSWPFA, you've been able to grow the sport in the wider community rather than just in the Greater Sydney region. Did you want to talk about your experience in these camps and their impact?
So we started a couple of years ago with the funding of Sydney FC and the help of them to start some clinics to develop the sport. Originally starting in Valentine Park, then moving out to places like Riverwood, Shell Harbour, and Arncliffe in order to expand the sport, and it's made an impact on obviously the sport as a whole, as there's so much new players, but also me as it gives me a sense of remembering what it was like and how different it is now to how it was I started developing.
I've helped out with little things here and there, not as much as you have going to all these camps for Sydney FC, but I think it really is amazing to just look at some of the kids coming through now, even at Valentine Park, and just thinking that was me one day. And then these kids will be in my position, in your position, Josh, in years to come, and it's so exciting to see both them individually and the sport as a whole grow. I'm really looking forward to it. And another thing I wanted to talk about with you, Josh, is that you've recently undergone a spinal fusion, a surgery which a vast majority of players in our sport have had or will experience in their lives. So, Josh, could you just describe to the audience what a spinal fusion surgery is?
So, a spinal fusion surgery is basically a surgery where it's about 6 to 8 hours where they insert a metal rod into your back that helps with straightening out your spine, which is when it's bent is previously called scoliosis, and it can affect your breathing and your lung capacity. They do this surgery so that they can help with that and stop your lung capacity from diminishing.
Yeah, just to add one thing onto what you said, Josh, it also helps. It helps with scoliosis. It also helps with a similar thing called kyphosis. So scoliosis is the curvature of the spine going left and right, whereas kyphosis is moving in a forward and backward direction. The next thing I wanted to ask you about this surgery, Josh, is how did you go, particularly both in having the surgery and the recovery?
I went pretty well. I recently started back to soccer a bit earlier than I was meant to, but obviously my family were there to help me. Yeah, it was a bit of emotional time, but I got through it, and everyone has the same feelings when you do it as it's such a big surgery.
And how did you stay strong regarding this surgery, both in the build-up and in the recovery?
In the build up was more just like nerves. Friends and family were always there to help. And after, I was a bit more relieved because I was like, even though I did spend a couple more days in hospital than I expected, I was still I had obviously Starlight and place organizations like that obviously were there to help, and yeah.
Well, yeah, I think when I had the surgery in the greatest month of all time, March of 2020, and just to sort of add on to what Josh was saying, it's like beforehand you kind of it's a sense of uncertainty because it's an enormous surgery, and but it's so fundamental for us to sort of continue living our best lives, and I'm just really glad that Josh's surgery was successful, and yeah. And due to your surgery, Josh, you briefly touched on it before talking about the football. It was expected that you'd not play for most, if not the entirety of this season, the 2024 season. Yet, for some reason, somehow, you returned in match week 3. How does it feel to be back faster than expected? And do you have to adapt your game in any way as a result of your surgery?
I obviously have to adapt by because came back so early. I have to be a bit safer than I would usually be. I also went after having the surgery lost a bit of my head movement, so I had to be a bit safer in that regards. And my vision is a bit down, so I have to make sure that I'm still playing in the right way and I'm not overdoing myself.
Yeah, like you don't want to overstress your body, especially after such a high intensity operation. So I think, I was a bit worried when I heard that you were returning because I wanted you to make sure you were safe, but you've obviously thought it through quite well, so I trust that you'll be okay. Just wanted to talk a bit more about that. Just how does it feel in general to be back?
It feels good to be back, obviously, with the community and stuff. I have had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun yesterday, even with the result of the loss.
Hey, this is Jackson from the future here to let you know, give you a bit of context, I guess. So, this is the day after Sydney lost 3-0 to St George. So, I do tease Josh about this quite a lot in the interview, but I realized that it wasn't as clear when I did the interview itself, so I thought I'd add this in. So, yeah, back to the show.
Obviously, that's just how it goes. I wasn't obviously playing the best, but we get back. We'll get back eventually, and
Hey, this is Jackson from the future here to let you know that since Josh made this statement on the 10th of March, Sydney FC have accumulated a whopping 1 point in their last 4 games. So Josh's prediction was very good, I must say. Back to the show. I was going to ask you about that result. You are aware that the goalkeeper keeps goals out, not keeps them going in, right?
hey, I never let one in, so
The
well, I
result was
did let
3
one in.
0.
I didn't put it in though. I did not put that in the net.
Upon your return, you did change positions, Josh, to play as a roaming goalkeeper. What was your reason for deciding to switch?
Obviously now, due to my unexpected comeback, we also had we had already obviously with the starting up of a new team, we had to get more players and stuff. So we obviously got a new player due to which is a Powerhouse, Chris Suffield. This is due to the fact that we got new players and a new team, so therefore we had to find more players for our team. And Chris Suffield is a very senior player and therefore has a lot of knowledge, and being in center is just a good place for knowledge like that. So I obviously, being back from surgery, had to be cautious as well as play with the players we already had. Therefore, I went into a goalkeeper role to play a style of play called 4-man up, which allows the team to play an aggressive type play style and have some fun.
So 4 men up, 3 goals in, right?
Hey, just no, bro. At least we got a clean sheet against you and beat you 2-0.
Hey, none of the goals were conceded in that game when I was playing. I was on the bench for both, so you can't diss me for any of that, yeah?
Hey, at least I was on the field.
Oh, good for you. You didn't play in the Wanderers game.
Yeah, because I had surgery.
Oh, boo-hoo. Moving on. You've shown an immense passion, Josh, for the game Rocket League. How do you think your love for this game, with its likeness to powerchair football, has helped you grow as a player in our sport?
So Rocket League is a game that is basically cars playing soccer, just like us. Basically, Rocket League, you have cars playing soccer, and you can fly around and hit the ball and everything. And usually it's a 3-man up or 2-man up, or 2-man on the field, sorry. And it's helped me grow as a powerchair football player because obviously me being such a big gamer that I am, it's almost like I'm playing powerchair football every day of my life because they're just so similar.
When you're playing Rocket League, do you tend to let more or less than 3 goals in per game as a roaming goalkeeper?
I'm not goalkeeper usually. In Rocket League, you don't have goalkeepers.
Okay, well, I think you should take that and, maybe adapt it so that you can learn how to goalkeep in Rocket League so that you can keep
Jackson,
less than three
Jackson,
goals.
Jackson, I think you should learn how to play powerchair football.
I think I should too. I want to grow. Continuing on with our discussion of gaming, Josh, you've also shown passion in the gaming world as you've begun to develop a game about powerchair football. Why did you decide to begin this project, and how's it going?
Obviously, so I'm a tech nerd as I am. And I felt like I learned how to use a game developing software called Unity, and I decided that it would be cool because obviously everyone knows about FIFA and is a bigger follower of soccer because of that game. And I always thought it would be cool if I created a game like FIFA but for powerchair football to help expand the sport and make our sport more widely recognized for also so that other people can play it. And currently I am stuck on one part of the game which Jackson already knows. I'm hoping to get it done soon and then it will be out to purchase on computer first, but then I'll try and get it into console.
2 questions that I've just thought of, Josh. Firstly, did you want to talk about what problem you're having, just so that maybe if there's a listener out there who knows how to fix your problem, they can get in touch with the show to help you out?
So, as you know, if you are a game developing person, Unity uses a program called C Sharp and JavaScript. I currently have an issue where, obviously, if you've seen the game before, you have to spin left and right and go forward and backwards. But currently, there's an issue. These chairs that in the game that I modeled myself can spin left, right, go forward and backwards. But a big part of our game is actually being able to hit the ball. Now, in my game, the chair can do all the movements, but doesn't hit a single thing.
So you're having issues with collision.
Yeah, my chair just doesn't collide, and obviously collision is a big part of powerchair football. You can't really not collide in powerchair football, so...
Yeah, with both the ball and other players, depending on how unlucky you get.
Yep.
Just a nice, short and easy question I have for you, Josh. Just about powerchair football in general is, what is the best part of powerchair football in your opinion?
I think the best part about powerchair football is being able to play with people that you know and play with people that may be going through the same thing as you. And it's also because without powerchair football, we would be sitting at home not doing anything, and there wouldn't be as good of a community as there is because we can't, like, there's nowhere else to connect really.
I think we've touched on it in most interviews I've done at this point, but the community is such a strong aspect of this sport, and I think I'm really
Yeah.
glad that you've highlighted that, Josh. And one thing which I'm doing in every interview, both longer form and in post-match interviews, is I want you, Josh, I want you to make a prediction either for yourself or for Sydney FC as a whole, and at the end of the season, I'm going to review it. So, what's your prediction?
Well, I didn't know what Daniel's was the other day, but I think if we can continue to beat Jackson, because he's actually not that good, and the Hills United as well, and hopefully St. George in the 4 weeks later, then we will be able to get around second or third on the table.
All right, well, can you give me either second or third so that I can write that down?
Let's go third. I think
Well,
third's more realistic.
hey, this is Jackson from the future here to let you know that Josh's prediction wasn't all that off. Currently, Sydney sit in fourth, but they are tied on points. Both them and third place Hills have 7, so his third place prediction is actually okay. Back to the show. We'll go third. That's the same thing that Daniel said. Well, Josh, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think you've covered it all, Jackson. Very good radio host or podcast host.
I try, buddy, I try. But yeah, Josh, it has been absolutely amazing to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Make sure you follow Jackson on the Spotify or whatever you're listening on. Make sure that you get in contact if you have any questions. And yeah, see y'all. Hope to see you in the next one.
Alright, now that interview with Josh is done, I just want to firstly say that was a really fun interview that I did a few months ago. Thanks, Josh, for that. Next week, we go back into the matchday roundup, so stay tuned for that. And in the next matchday roundup, we have Football St George versus the Western Sydney Wanderers. That is their first time playing each other in the Premier League, at least, after the Wanderers forfeited their first matchup. And secondly, we have Hills United versus Newcastle Jets. So yeah, we will go into the little get involved thing that I put at the end of every episode, even though Josh kind of did that for me already. But yeah, all good. We'll see you next week. You can get involved in powerchair football here in New South Wales as an athlete, coach, referee or volunteer by visiting the NSW PFA website linked below. Our season takes place in Glenwood at the Valentine Sports Park from the 24th of February 2024 to the 6th of July 2024 every Saturday. Contact info@nswpfa.org.au for more information. Just a quick note that the views of this podcast are mine and mine alone. The opinions and thoughts expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the NSW PFA. If you want to get in touch with the podcast, you can follow us at Powered by Football Pod on Instagram, join our Facebook group, Powered by Football Podcast, or follow our Twitter account, Powered by Pod. Thanks for listening.